Hey guys, Chris here with Project Nerf, and welcome to another edition of Nerf ER, the show where we take modified Nerf blasters that need a little help and get them back in playing shape. Now this time we're going to do something a little bit different. I was finally able to thrift a Rival Promethius. We had stated before that I wasn't going to grab one because they were very expensive and the proprietary battery and all of those things. But I got this one for, well, $0 because it didn't function. It's got some issues and there's no battery with it. So anyway, let's see if we can get it back in the game.
Paging Dr. Chris. Dr. Chris to the ER. Paging Dr. Chris to the ER, please.
Alright, so we got this thrifted Prometheus, and I got this blaster basically for free because it doesn't work. I don't have the stock battery. The individual kept it for the other Prometheus they bought to replace this with. And I was told that the flywheels rev up, but that the conveyor doesn't go. So right now I've just got it hooked up to my jumper pack at a 2S LiPo. It's actually undervolting this, so as you can hear there, the flywheels do go, but the conveyor is not running. Now all of the safeties on it still work. So if we open the jam door, it releases that orange deal there. It's pushing a switch. So all that's good. So I don't think we have a safety issue. It's possible we have a fire trigger switch issue or something like that. So let's anyway, let's get this thing apart and see if we can find that firing issue, and then we'll talk about some of the other cosmetic mods that we want to do to it. Okay, nothing too major. It's a little difficult to get the shell half off with the footrests, I don't know what you call those, in there, but we're getting rid of those anyway. We don't want them. So far as I'm concerned, they're junk, but other than that, pretty easy. All of the screws are the same length in the shell, guys, except for this one, right where my finger's at, right in the middle of the main fire handle. But all the rest of them you can just kind of go to town on. You can see here they're all pretty long screws, so except for this one little short one that I set off to the side. That's the one that goes in that post I showed you. Alright, so we know that the motors go. And actually, this is kind of nice here. We can just kind of pick stuff up out of the way. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is jump this motor and make sure that it's still good. So let me grab my little jumper pack here. And this is going to tell us if we have a bad motor, or if we have, a little tough to get on there. I'm wondering if I shouldn't just unscrew the whole mechanism there. There's one. And there's a second screw up high here. And that's all I see that can hold that in. There might be another one somewhere. No, I think that's pretty much it. There we go. Okay. So we got that out of there, that front piece. Alright, so all we've really got to do is get this conveyor running. So, now that we can a little more efficiently get to the motor tabs here and there, we're going to jump this thing and see if the conveyor will run. Where is that other deal here? For the sake of what we're doing, it should not matter. Again, I'm not getting anything on that, so let's switch the leads just to make sure. No, I'm going to have to say that the motor right here is probably bad. So let's get it out, see if we have some kind of a suitable replacement, and we'll go from there. Okay, so when I do diagnostics like this, okay, I pull the motor out, and I desoldered the board, because there's a lot of little resistors and all kinds of stuff on that board. One of those could have been popped, who knows. So when I desoldered the board, I hooked it up to my battery, and the motor runs just fine. So, here we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see it there, but... So, now that I know my motor works, I'm going to hook the stock wiring back up. And the reason I'm going to do that is that will tell me if the problem was just the board or if it's in the switch up top, which probably was just that board, but anyway, let's hook it up and find out. Okay, so I hooked the stock wires that I cut off back up. Okay, yellow is the positive lead, and then the two brown ones that I took off of the negative. Now, these are just tied on. Don't ever do this, guys. This is just for testing. I've got my battery pack hooked up. It's just a 2S LiPo. I do have to engage the safety up top, so sorry if I get in the way of the camera. Hopefully not too much. Maybe I can scooch things down here and not be so much in the way, but out of the way there, shall. So hopefully you can see there the flywheels are running. And the conveyor is working fine. So, you know, that's how I do this kind of diagnostic work, guys. I knew I had a motor that wasn't running, so I like to start at that point and test it. Well, when I jumped it hot, right off the battery pack, and it didn't go, that told me that there was a short in the system somewhere. So let's start eliminating stuff that we don't need. So we know we don't need that board. I desoldered it, checked the motor while it was standalone. The motor was running fine. I hooked it back up to the circuit. It works great. In this blaster's case, it doesn't really matter that much, though, because we're going to completely rewire it for 3S LiPo. But when you're working on them, that's just my kind of process. If this flywheel motor wasn't running, the first thing I would do is, again, jump it hot here and see if I could get it to turn. If not, then I would remove it, take the board off of it, check the motor with nothing attached to it, and then work my way back out. And I'm sure there are people out there that would say that's backwards. Some people say, no, start from here, follow it up to the switch, and then follow it back out. But I like to start at the source of the problem, which I knew was a non-running motor. So in this case, we aced it. We're good to go there. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of button this thing back up, and, well, let's play with it for a minute. Okay, so I slapped it back together, threw the hopper on, threw a handful of balls in here. I've got it hooked up to a 3S pack this time. You see we had a green battery light, so this thing should go, guys. Yeah, I'd say that it works. Obviously, it's slowed down significantly by the resistance in the system. Because my battery's in good shape, it's peak charged. But even then, that is very, very acceptable. Alright guys, how about that? Pretty easy repair work on this one. And sometimes it's just as simple as starting at the point that you know is not working right and working your way out. In this case, the little board on the back of the pusher motor was bad. We removed it, soldered everything back up, and it works great. However, we're not done yet. In subsequent episodes, we are really, really going to modify this thing into something that more closely fits my personal playstyle. So stay tuned for those. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Until next time, this is Chris for Project Nerf saying have a blast.